name is Miss Owen and I'm a teacher for the Pontotoc County School District. In today's video, we will be reading the poem A Jellyfish by Marianne Moore. If you are following along in your distance learning packet, this poem can be found on page 9. In our video today, we will identify the theme, details, setting, and overall structure of a poem. This is our standard RL 4.2. You will be able to explain how certain lines in the poem contribute to the overall structure of a poem. Watch out for clues to help you solve a special riddle at the end of this video. The riddle is, what do you call a jellyfish party? Here are a few letters to get you started. Remember to pay close attention so you can find more letters. A good reader always does a few things before they begin reading. One of those things is to look for any text features in the story or poem. I would like for you to look at the top of your page and underline the title and the author of our poem today. The title is A Jellyfish, and the author is Marianne Moore. You might notice that this poem was written in 1909. Take a moment to read the information about Marianne Moore in the gray box. You can pause this video and come back after you're finished reading. Okay, now that you read a little bit about the author, let's move on to the next text feature. These are stanzas and lines. Stanzas are very similar to paragraphs that you would see in a story, except they're not made of the normal sentences in a paragraph. These are lines that form stanzas. You can notice the numbers on the side. These help the reader to know which line they can find the evidence in. These lines are numbered by fives: 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. When we count the lines, we can fill in the missing numbers to cite our evidence. The next text feature is a picture. Pictures can be very important to readers. They let us know kind of what this information will be or what the poem will be about. What can you see in the picture? There are many jellyfish. In a little while, we'll see how this picture is connected to the text. The next text feature is a reference and footnotes. You might see some tiny numbers written in the lines in the poem. These numbers are next to words that you might be unfamiliar with. The footnotes are very important to a reader because they tell us what the meaning of these unfamiliar words are. Notice that there are 4 words and 4 footnotes. Let's read them together. Number 1. What is the word? Fluctuating. What does fluctuating mean? To rise and fall in an irregular pattern. Number 2. Amber. Number 2 says amber is a honey yellow color. Can you think of something that might be amber? Number 3, the word is amethyst. An amethyst is a valuable stone, usually colored purple. Number 4, shrivels or shrivel. This is a verb or an action. It means to wrinkle or close in on itself. Remember that we are reading about jellyfish, so we can think about how these footnotes could be related to the text. Now that we've talked about the text features, we need to see what we need to know. It's very helpful to look at the questions first, so that when we begin to read, we know exactly where our evidence will be. Let's look at number 1. Part A. What is the main theme of the poem? A. Jellyfish are beautiful but should not be touched. B. Most creatures in the ocean are dangerous. C. Jellyfish are interesting creatures and difficult to touch. Or D. Humans can look at nature but shouldn't touch. So we are trying to decide what the main theme would be. Remember that main theme is the major lesson or moral within the poem. Let's take a look at number 2. Notice I put a box around detail and supports. Please put a box around these words on your paper as well. It's important to remember that a detail is a particular item or information about a character, event, or idea in a text. Let's look. Part B. Which detail from the poem best supports the answer to Part A? So our choice for Part B must support our answer to number 1. Let's look at number 3. Notice I put a box around setting. I would like for you to do the same on your paper. Which statement best describes the setting in a jellyfish? When we read, we will need to be thinking about the time and the location of where this story or poem takes place. And number 4, how do lines 1, 2, and 3 contribute to the overall structure of the poem? You might be wondering, what does overall structure mean? Well, it's how the text is organized, set up, or ordered. The overall structure is very important to the reader to help us to understand the information better. Let's take a moment to give you a few letters. Remember, you already found A, L, S, A, Y, I. You're getting closer. Do you have any ideas what the answer could be? Now that we know what to be looking for, it's time to read the text. Good readers always find the words they are unfamiliar with before they begin reading. If I were a student, I would not know this word, so I would circle it. I could look in the word, around the word, and beyond the word to help me figure out the meaning. Luckily, we have a text feature that can help us. Do you remember what it is? Great! It's reference and footnotes. Notice the tiny 3 beside the word. I can look beside the 3 at the bottom of the page to see the meaning. Amethyst is a valuable stone, usually colored purple. Now I know exactly what an amethyst is, and it makes more sense to me as a reader. Now let's begin reading. I will read first, then you can pause the video to read a second time on your own. Let's begin. Visible, invisible, a fluctuating charm. An amber-colored amethyst inhabits it, your arm. Approaches, and it opens, and it closes. You have meant to catch it, and it shrivels. You abandon your intent. It opens, and it closes, and you reach for it. The blue surrounding it grows cloudy, and it floats away from you. You can pause the video now to read the poem on your own, and then we will continue answering with number 1. Very good. You have had the opportunity to listen or read the poem at least 2 times. If you need to stop during this video at any time, you can pause and reread the poem on your own. Let's begin with number 1. Remember, we were looking for the main theme of the poem. Be sure you have put a box around main theme. This is very important information in our question. Let's look at the choices. What is the main theme of the poem? Jellyfish are beautiful, but should not be touched. Most creatures in the ocean are dangerous. Jellyfish are interesting creatures and difficult to touch. Or humans can look at nature, but shouldn't touch. Remember that when we read our choices, some might sound right. They're not necessarily wrong, but do we have evidence to support the answer? Take a moment to pause the video and circle your answer. Be sure to cite your evidence. If you don't have evidence, you can't prove it's true. Okay, if you chose C, jellyfish are interesting creatures and difficult to touch, you're correct. Let's look back in the text to find our evidence. We can find our evidence in line 3, an amber-colored amethyst. In line 9, to catch it. In line 11, you abandon. In line 15, reach for it. And in line 19, it floats away. Be sure you have underlined your evidence on your page as well. We also need to write the line numbers that we found our evidence in. Number 1, C, lines 3, 9, 11, 15, and 19. Very good. I think you deserve some letters. Be sure to fill in the missing letters on your page as well. You're getting closer. Okay, number 2. Remember, this is a part B, so that we must have an answer that supports our answer to part A, which is C. Jellyfish are interesting creatures and difficult to touch. Let's look together. Part B. Which detail from the poem best supports the answer to part A? An amber-colored amethyst inhabits it. Lines 3 and 4. Your arm approaches and it opens. Lines 4 through 6. You abandon your intent. Lines 11 and 12. Or grows cloudy and it floats away from you. Lines 18 through 20. Take a moment to pause the video and choose your answer. Remember to cite your evidence. If you chose D, grows cloudy, and it floats away from you, lines 18 through 20, you're correct. Let's go back and find our evidence together. If we look in line 18, grows cloudy, and line 19, it floats away, and line 20, from you, we can see that it supports our answer from number 1, that jellyfish are interesting creatures and difficult to touch. Look at number 3. Which statement best describes the setting in a jellyfish? Be sure to box the word setting. Is it A, visible, invisible, a fluctuating charm, lines 1 and 2. An amber-colored amethyst inhabits it, lines 3 and 4. It opens and it closes, lines 13 and 14. Or the blue surrounding it grows cloudy, lines 16, 17, and 18. You can pause the video to choose your answer. If you chose answer D, you're correct. The blue surrounding it grows cloudy. We know our evidence is found in lines 16, 17, and 18. Let's look together. Line 16 says, the blue. Line 17, surrounding it. Line 18, grows cloudy and. This tells us what the setting is in this poem, where it takes place. Look at number 4. How do lines 1, 2, and 3 contribute to the overall structure of the poem? Remember, if our question specifically tells us to look in a certain part of a poem or story, we must use the evidence found there. Let's take a second to go back and read lines 1, 2, and 3. Put a box around them on your paper. Visible, invisible, a fluctuating charm, an amber-colored amethyst. Take a moment to pause the video and choose your answer. Let's look together. We can use lines 1, 2, and 3 to find out how the author describes the jellyfish's appearance. It also introduces the jellyfish to the reader. Remember that the overall structure is how the information is organized or ordered. We can see in these lines that it's organized to show us exactly how the jellyfish looks and to introduce us to the jellyfish before reading the rest of the poem. This is very important for us to know exactly what we will be reading. Make sure that your answer always answers the whole question and that you use complete sentences. Let's see some more letters. What do you call a jellyfish party? Can you guess what the answer is? If you guessed a jellyfish jam, you're correct. You did really great today in our video, following along and answering questions with me. Let's have a jellyfish jam. I'll see you next time.